Hello everyone, and welcome to a Minecraft tutorial. Today, in response to Bedrock suddenly having food being scarce, we are going to build a passive mob farm that provides you cooked meat, plus all the other drops your animals drop. Now this got partially built because my file kept crashing and not taking video, but also because watching me build is in fact quite boring. So what we've started with is an 18 by 18 square of grass, and walls 5 high around it. Now you can just build a wall 2 high and dig down if you'd like to, but it's a little easier to build up. You can do it however you would like. And the next thing you do, once you've got your 5 high walls, your walls are going to be 20 blocks around an area that is 18 blocks. That is 2 sections of 8 blocks, and then there's room for a trench of 2 between all our 8 by 8 sections. And we need to place torches because we need to keep our farm lit night and day so we can spawn only passive mobs. And they need a light level of 9. So we're going to put these torches out here in the 6th block to make sure that this corner block here gets a light level of 9. We go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And by the way, my walls are of basalt because I think they're pretty, and it's also a little bit linear for counting. It's also 2 away from that trench if you make that 2 by 2 trench, which I do because it helps me count, because then I just have to count to 8, and then 2, and then 8, rather than counting to 18, and I don't like counting to 18. So we've got all our torches placed. We're also going to need some in the middle. And now we're going to build a 2nd level of platforms. Now you can build as many platforms as you want. I am not super familiar with the Bedrock spawn conditions, but I have tried to look into them. And I think 2 is probably your optimal spawns per work. Partly because what we're trying to do is maximize cave versus surface spawns. You want to leave this farm open air. And then, ideally, your first platform is facing nothing but sky above it, so those should be under the surface spawn caps, but the mobs that are going to spawn underneath these platforms will hopefully come on cave mob caps, which means you get to use 2 mob caps for your local mobs. Now we are going to make 8 by 8 platforms here. So that's 8 blocks, and I'm going to go over to the 8th block here. That's another reason why I built my trenches, so I can see what I'm doing. I'm flying, but, you know, you can be doing this in survival and just, you know, pillaring up with dirt blocks. You do need grass. Mobs spawn on grass. Now, there are a lot of ways you can get grass up onto your top platform. You can do like I'm doing and just build with grass blocks, which are relatively easy to get with the Silk Touch tool. Or you can just, you know, do something like leave a block here, and the grass will go up to that platform eventually. I prefer to start with grass blocks, but there are absolutely ways to get grass to grow. So we're going to do another 8 by 8 platform over here. I am going to take the risk of pausing this while I build the last 8 by 8 platforms, and I will be back soon. And there we go. We have our 8 by 8 platforms built. By the way, you will need 4 stacks of dirt or grass blocks to build this. So now we're going to come up here and we're going to torch up so that even at night, our lovely mobs can spawn. We're going to go out 6 from here so that corner block has a light level of 9. We need light level of 9 and grass for passive mobs to spawn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're going to put 1 right here on the edge. And we're going to do another one. You can also count 2 from the edge and then place it on the 3rd. So we're going to do that above all the platforms. And since I don't like counting to 6, I'm going to count to 3 instead. And this should get every spot on this lovely grassy platform to a light level of 9 or higher. Which meaning the grass will stay grassy and passive mobs will spawn. And we need both of our sets of platforms lit up the same way. You can use things other than torches, but why? Particularly, you could put pumpkins in the walls or glowstone or things like that. But this one out here, you really probably just want to use a torch. So that is our platforms built. And next thing we're going to do is we're going to dig a trench. Eventually, we're going to do 3 deep, but I'm just going to start with it 1 deep. And I already started it when I placed my blocks around the wall, as you remember, because I wanted to help count. It's easier to count 8 plus 2 plus 8 than it is to count 18 for me. We're just going to run this all the way across. Doesn't matter if I accidentally dig out a few too many. It does matter if I accidentally dig out my walls because I'm playing on creative. Oops. And remember, we were starting with a nice flat... Oh, thank you, I don't need that. A nice flat 18 by 18 plane. So we're going to come out here and keep digging our... Oh yeah, some animals got in here while I was building. They aren't going to hurt anything being in here. Now this eventually is going to get at least 2. I usually prefer 3 deep, because this is going to be the trench that we funnel all our animals into. And that's why we have 8 by 8 platforms, because we are going to use water to funnel our animals into the trap. And of course water flows 7 from a source block, so 1 plus 8. Now that we've got those platforms built, I can see where the last torches need to go. That sheep is so happy because he gets to escape. Now the next thing is you are going to need 2 stacks of any sort of button at all. Absolutely does not matter buttons, what kind of buttons they are. Now you will run into people that say that buttons don't work. I can assure you that 60 people on my realm are fed because buttons in fact do work. What we're doing with the buttons is we are tricking some mobs, and we need 2 stacks of them, although this is creative, so you won't see them disappear. We are tricking the mobs into thinking that the edge of the platform is in fact one giant piece of land. They see that something is in the block, and they think, oh, I can walk there. So we are just going to button up the edge of both platforms. And this is a little bit soothing and therapeutic. It's going to be, oh, that probably will work, but I don't like it there. Aesthetically, I like them around the edges. It doesn't really matter as long as it's in the block. And as you can see, my grass is delightfully spreading. So if you happen to have built this, without grass blocks, it spreads pretty quick. It will probably actually have spread to everywhere by the time you build it, especially once you're placing, 2 stacks of buttons. And I know that there are faster ways to push mobs off platforms, but honestly, they move around quite a bit and they fall off pretty quick. They really don't stay spawned for long before they go wandering off. Passive mobs are pretty mobile, they like to get around, they like to move, and they fall right off these platforms. In fact, I'm probably going to throw some spawn eggs out there and show you exactly how quick the silly fools walk off the top platforms once we've got all these buttoned up. They just go right off the edge. There is absolutely no need whatsoever to build any high-tech system to push them off a platform that they're perfectly happy to walk off of. And I am always going to be in favor of low-tech solutions. Why build more when you can build less? That's also why I prefer buttons to anything else, is because they're just super economical in case of supplies. I have been told that trapdoors are the only thing that work, but I assure you buttons have been working for me for quite some time. Now, we're not getting any new mobs spawning in here while we're hanging out because we are too close. Mobs only spawn, you have to be 24 away for them to spawn, so we are not going to be able to hang out and watch this farm work. We're going to have to be 24 blocks away for anything to spawn in it. So this is a really good farm to build adjacent to some other place you're going to AFK. In my realm, this is built 24 blocks away from the ideal AFK spot for our iron farm. And then I have a pretty much identical model, only completely pitch black, and I didn't worry about grass. Hostile mob spawner that is literally the same design. It's exactly the same design, only instead of being carefully lit, it is carefully not lit. Oh, and somehow that horse got down there. That's a problem. Oh well, we won't worry about that. You just kind of don't want hostile mobs stumbling in here, mostly because this farm really wants a sorting system. And it's a pain in the butt to get other things in. Okay, so we've got all our buttons placed. And if you wanted to see, you know, that horse fell down pretty quick. He wandered here into my farm and he fell down pretty quick. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go finish digging those trenches. Oops, what am I doing here? Get down here. We want these at least 2 deep. I usually go with 3. I just feel like I don't want any risk that they're going to somehow swim up the water and get onto the platform. I'm 100% certain that they're trapped down there. You see, he doesn't usually like to go off a 2 drop, but he just totally did. That's the other reason, by the way, you don't want to dig these down, because by the time you get to a layer for another platform, you're pretty much dealing with possibly rock. Okay, so we've got this dug out. And this is, again, boring, so I'm going to finish this without you guys. Alright, so here we are again. We have this trench dug. It is a lovely... And you notice all the animals are already in it because they fell right down the stupid buttons. So now we got to go get some water. And when I'm building this in Creative, I usually make an infinite water source here in the middle and then fill it back in. So I'm going to do that anyhow, even though we're in Creative and we don't need to do that. So I would dig out these, place some water. Hey, sheep! Dig out this one, place some water, and then dig out the other 2. And that gives you a nice infinite water source as you fill in the water around the farm. But you just come down here to the edge and place 2 water. And it'll push you right back to your middle. You plash in your puddle. And then you go back out to the next edge and you place 2 water. Let it push you back to the middle. If you're on survival, that's where you pick up your water and go down to each side and place 2 water. And now we're going to flush these guys into the pool here. Well, or we're just going to hit the sheep with the bucket. That's always fun. Alright. This is going to be fun. There we go. Now we're going to push everybody here and we got to fill these in. I'm going to fill in our infinite water source here. And this is going to be fun. I think I'm going to need to get a sword and kill these guys. They're going to drive me insane. So let me go do that. Normally you do not have things spawning in here with you because you're here building. But these guys were here when I started building. And I'm sorry, horsey. It's just that... So now we've got all the water pointing to the center chute, and we're going to go down here and make the kill chamber. And for the kill chamber, you're going to need 4 hoppers, a chest for output, and then you're going to need 4 campfires, 1 on top of each hopper. I recommend you go down a decent amount. Oh, we have a problem. There we go. We'll fill it in with wool. Sorry to see sheep. Now, normally, if you're doing this, you can absolutely do this just digging down. Just stand in the middle. I'm going to dig at least 4 down just because I want to give myself a nice way out of here without breaking my trough. Let's go 5 down for fun, but it really doesn't matter. See, here I can place the hoppers down here and still get out over here, so. But I don't like it wet, so if you do that, you end up dripping in your chamber. So I go 5 down, but it really doesn't matter. And then we come out over here. Doesn't matter which side you come out on. You're going to build your chest and collection chamber. I think it's nice to have glass for this, but it's absolutely unnecessary. So I'm digging out 3 high everywhere. And I come here and I get out a chest. Which I recommend a double chest. Actually, I strongly recommend a sorting system for this. You really are going to get a lot of different items here. This farm will produce for you all 4 types of meat. Chickens will not be killed by the fall and or hurt by it in any way, but that's okay. They cook up in campfires just as nice as anyone else. You're going to get cooked chicken, cooked pork chops, cooked beef, cooked mutton, and then you're also going to get all of their other drops. You're going to get lots of different colors of naturally spawning wool. I'm much sorry to say you will even kill pink sheep, which my son loves, and he hates that my farm kills pink sheep. So we got to come over here and sneak a bit, and we're going to place these going into that chest. And if you really aren't comfortable placing hoppers, dig underneath and you can make sure they're pointed in the right place, but I'm sure they're pointed in the right place. Now what we need is some campfires. And you put a campfire again, sneaking on top of each hopper. This kills and cooks the meat. And then you can put anything. You could put a slab here, an upper slab above the thing if you don't want to use glass, but I just like glass blocks. They're really pretty at the edges of farms. So we're going to grab some glass blocks. And chests can open right through glass blocks, so we're going to get the collection system of this farm. And then we're going to tunnel out a good 8 blocks and dig up. You cannot AFK at the collection part of this. You are far too close to the farm. You have to be 24 away to get spawns. With the simulation distance of 4, which is what most of us play with, you get spawns 24 away from you, and no more than 48 away from you. So let's place some torches. You can light this up as much as you want. It's not like a monster spawner where it has to be all nice and dark. So we're just going to build some stairs out of here. And since I'm in creative, I'm going to cheat and just fly up. But you can just keep on building stairs. Or, you know, if you've got another farm, you can build it connecting to there. And that is the whole farm. So let's see. We were down here on 70, so let's go up at least 24. So we're going to go up to 94. 100's fine. And we're going to see if we get things spawning in there. Now, they should spawn. The thing is that right now, as we're sitting here hovering 24 blocks above our lovely farm, you can see that there's tons and tons of other spawnable area around. And this is going to be a real problem for the productivity of this farm. You can build this with grass blocks somewhere that doesn't have a lot of other spawnable area. I guess you'd be competing with rabbits if you built in the desert, but somewhere where nothing else spawns, you do have to build it in a biome where farm mobs will spawn. But the way you spawn-proof this farm is quite painful. We cannot spawn-proof with light. You can lay carpets everywhere, but honestly, this is the easiest way. Get out a little shovel and dig path. And I hate to say this, you want to dig path for 60 floor blocks around the whole thing for optimal yields. But the more you're willing to dig, the less spawnable area there is around. Nothing spawns on paths. And the mobs we care about are passive mobs. They can only spawn on grass. So you've got anything but grass around. This is a great thing to build on one of those high rocky plateaus. But you're just going to have to do a lot of spawn proofing or we're not going to see it run. So I'm going to cheat because I'm in creative. And I'm going to get some mobs in here and show us how it goes. Let's do sheep for fun. And my thing is fighting me. Get some sheep spawn eggs. And we're going to watch these sheep plummet to their death. So they're out there, they're cruising around. They're eating their grass, which is kind of annoying. And eventually they just walk, and they fall right off into the water. We'll make a few more here. Now we're going to go down our hole. and see our output. The spawn proofing is, I believe, the worst part of this farm. It's a major pain in the butt. But as you see, they're all down here cooking up in the campfires, giving us mutton and wool. And if you've got this and you're a nice spawnable distance away and you're not cheating and using spawn eggs, you'll get all the passive mobs flopping in here, cooking to death, and giving you food and supplies. That is the end of the tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you get well fed. Oops.